I think I started hearing about it pretty young, but not very in depth. Like, I have an older brother who went through more science education, and he started high school earlier than I did. So he would come home and talk to my parents about what he was learning in geoscience and about earthquakes and the Oregon earthquake and like the sun exploding and things like that. And that sort of freaked me out, to be honest, because I was so young. I was probably like 10 years old. And that was kind of the start of it. And then as I grew more into like social media and digital platforms, I would see things about, especially mostly the fast fashion industry, which is what our main focus is, because especially on Instagram and TikTok, you see so many influencers sharing their massive hauls from Shein and like Romwe and all these fast fashion brands. And at first I was like, oh, awesome clothes. And then I would read through the comments and people would be like, this is such a problem that no one's realizing. And I started educating myself more on it. And now I'm taking an environmental science class, so I'm learning more about it now, especially. But I think it really became apparent to me through social media, which is why we focus so much on social media, to educate other people in a similar way that we found ourselves educated. So seeing it as a problem as I grew up really motivated me to take a start on it and take action.
As a kid, I sort of knew what climate change was, but I didn't fully understand it and really understand how it could affect us as people and the environment. And so, like Elise said, learning about it in school, and then I think part of it is as I was growing older and learning more about politics, then I started to learn about all the different things that it could affect. And then same thing with the social media, like I go on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. I would see videos of not only like fashion hauls, but just like newsworthy like climate change crises and issues. And so that kind of seeing that almost like every day on my phone, that I was like, oh, like this must be something worth like paying attention to.
Yeah.
And so I just started thinking about that. And then as I'm growing older and like learning new things and just kind of wanting to do more and take more action, because I just felt like I was just like behind a screen and I wanted to like get out of that. And so we just kind of wanted to start something.
I mean, like Alexa, when I was younger, I had this like general idea of what climate change was, but I didn't really know until about my freshman year in high school, when I came across my school's green team during Club Rush, when all the clubs are like, they have little booths outside. And I remember I was like walking down the hall, I was ready to go to lunch, and this like booth caught my eye. And I remember reading a bunch of statistics that were just so alarming about this issue of climate change. And I was like, that was really the first time that I had been exposed to this harsh reality. And I was like, wow, it really like blew my mind. So I remember I spent a few minutes just looking at the booth. They had this little trifold with information about the club, things like that. And then after that day, I started showing up to the meetings. I started growing more familiar with what climate change really was, beyond just the buzzwords that we see that come along with like the news and everything. And I learned about ways that I could make a difference and how I could get involved. Because I feel like there's this big misconception around climate change that it's just such a huge problem that we as individuals can't really make a difference by acting alone. And that's just so hard to see that some people think this way, because that's just absolutely not the case. Yeah. And we as individuals, change starts with us. And until we make these changes in our own lives and until we make these differences, we can't collectively come together to make a difference. Yeah. So for me, it was really just growing more familiar with what exactly it was through my school's green team. At first, I mean, like you, I was very alarmed. And then I was like, well, we need to do something about this. So that's where I really, I developed a passion for, fighting for sustainability, whether that be like at a systemic level or just encouraging more change from our peers.
So we've all kind of known each other since about middle school, and we've always been pretty close friends. But we never got, too political in middle school, so I don't think we ever realized the potential that we had to take action until high school, especially when Auveen joined the green team and she started learning more about individual actions and especially the importance of coming together to take action. And then we all decided that because we see fast fashion so much on Instagram, and we just see it, especially in a school like Lake Oswego High School. Everybody is constantly wearing new clothes and like discarding new clothes, and there weren't many groups that we were seeing trying to do something about this. So we all decided that it would be really fun to come together, especially as a group of friends, and do something for a really good cause.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I mean, you know, it's really difficult when you see a huge problem to even imagine what is possible to take action.
Yeah.
I was at one of the Green Team meetings. We were talking about all the different ways that you as an individual can make a difference. And we were talking about like innovative ideas and climate, you know, resilience and things like that. And that really, you know, that push from Ms. Foster that we as students really can make a difference, and that we're not hopeless, and that we have to like gain control of the reins for our future is what really pushed us to, you know, put this like time in and this effort in to really make a difference.
Yeah.
So that's when we decided that, you know, this is a big problem and it's not going away until we do something about it. So we came together and we talked about this issue of fast fashion, because fast fashion, like Elise said, is something that's so prevalent and that we see so much, especially among youth and in our school especially. And we were just tired of seeing, you know, people buying all of these clothes from, like you said, stores like Shein, and contributing to this crisis, that we decided, like I said, we had to do something about it.
Yeah.
So
The Thread Forward initiative is an initiative designed to fight against the harmful effects of fast fashion. So we host events, we have sustainable resources like our website and our Instagram. We have been doing, so some of our events, I'll talk about that because that's kind of like our main thing. We have hosted a recycling drive, which was kind of like our biggest community-wide thing, and kind of like I would say one of our biggest accomplishments is where we distributed 300 like paper bags to multiple neighborhoods in Lake Oswego, and we like left a flyer on it saying like, fill this bag full of textiles and things like that, and we'll come by and pick it up and then donate them to this like recycling program, and got a ton of donations from that. We also had 2 like donation boxes outside of Albertsons and Golden, a local clothing boutique in downtown LO. And we also got donations from there, and from that we collected like 720 items. Some of our other events, we had at our high school, we had a free clothing table where people could just walk by and just like pick anything, kind of like a thrifting event, but everything was free. And then later on we had a upcycling event where we held it with Sewing Club, and we kind of like taught people there how they could mend their clothes or make it into something more like interesting with like sewing and patchwork and just things like that. And going forward, we're really interested in kind of expanding more. Something we want to do is kind of get into, like with the summer coming up, try to get involved in things like farmers markets and flea markets and things like that. We also have a new position at within our associated student body, and it's the like philanthropy / sustainability position. And once we kind of like get that implemented, then we really want to start getting things happening like in our school, and that will kind of like being on the board at a school, it would like help get more recognition for like climate literacy and sustainability and just like Thread Forward in general.
We need to move forward.
well, I feel like it's super easy to see so many of these statistics that at a certain point you start to become numb to them. And I think that when we're exposed to them in our classes like environmental science or geoscience, sustainability classes, things like that, it is a really good reminder that this isn't just a number but a reality. And I think that's something that can really get lost in translation. So I really just, when I'm exposed to this news, like you said, I try to really remind myself that yes, it's sad that we keep seeing all this, but this is happening. This is the now. This isn't something that, you know, if we don't think about it, it's going to go away. And that's really what inspires me to continue striving to, you know, combat the harmful effects of not only just fast fashion, but climate change in general.
Yeah,
I remember.
and I think through our project, I've honestly grown a lot of hope, because I think at least for me, we were a lot more successful than I expected, because I didn't expect so many people to be on board with a group of 16-year-olds trying to make a difference. And we found a lot of positive feedback from our community, and it was really heartwarming because this 8th grader at LOJ, the junior high, reached out to us saying that she was very passionate about the same issue, and that was honestly super heartwarming to hear from like a younger audience, and to hear that we were actually making a difference and inspiring people, and that will hopefully take action the same way that we are.
Yeah.
So that brought a lot of hope to me.
Try not to get like too overwhelmed with anything, but something that has really helped me, like you kind of said, like finding people like Elise and Auveen where you can kind of like confide in them, and that's been really helpful. Like this project has made us all closer as friends, and I just feel really comfortable with them, where if like you ever feel scared, then you can just find like 1 or 2 people where you can just talk to about it and get all your feelings out. And you never know, like from that you could be inspired to do something with that and like take more action. I think that's definitely what all of us felt like. We felt like we could connect in this way and then do something with it, which feels really good and just really fulfilling. And so I think that kind of like feeling of fulfillment will allow you to like push yourself to make this action, even though it can be scary.
Yeah, and I'd add on to say that you really do have the power to make a difference, and I know that's such a cliche statement that we've all probably heard 1,000 times in our lives, but we really do. And whether that's like making a difference at a small scale or a large scale, any amount of difference is good. And whether that means you're picking up trash when you're walking, you see something, you pick it up, or whether you do your research before buying from a certain brand, that is what contributes to this fight against climate change. And when we all start to do this again in our own lives, that's when we really can come together to make a difference.